Hello, dog lover. My name is Saro. I'm a dog trainer, also coach dog owners. Welcome to another live show. Hopefully, you're doing well and everything is going well. In this live video, I'm going to talk about the basics of training for your puppies and your adult dog. I'm going to answer your questions live as well. And before we get started, I wanted to get some points out before the actual topic of the day that we're going to talk about. So first of all, if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon as well, so you will get notified as soon as I post a new video or if I go live. And if you want your questions to be answered first and comes on top of the line, make sure to use the super chat option, which is available on your chat area in the chat box as well. And the third question and the third thing that I wanted to mention and get you interacting with the live show today is that I have a question. Answer this question of the day, and there is a chance for you that you will be able to win a free copy of my digital book of 2 simple changes that you can make today to get benefits tomorrow of your dog. The question of the day is, why do you use treats to train your dog? So that is the question of the day. I just want to know what made you to choose to use treats to train your dog? What was the motivator? What motivated you to use treats as a motivator for your dog? So that is the question of the day. Let's interact with that throughout the live show. I'm going to bring out this question, and then I'll remind you as well again that if you answer the question in the chat area, at the end of the show, I will be selecting one of the answers to win the digital copy of my book, 2 Simple Changes. So that is the question. Why do you use treats to train your dog? Just want to know, because I may be doing a video about it, this topic as well. And I want to know your feedback and your opinion, and I want to understand you a little bit more. Why is it that you're using train to train your dog? If you are also a beagle owner, make sure that you let me know that you have a beagle and you're live, because that will also get me excited, because I love beagles, as you can tell. All right, so let's talk about the topic of the day, that puppy training, basics of puppy training and adult training. Let me bring that out. Okay. That is the topic of the day. So when it comes to training, when we, many people, they have this understanding that when we get our puppy or our dog, right away we get started into training our dog. Wrong. That's the wrong mindset and wrong message to get started. When you have a puppy or you get an adult dog or adopt or something like that, and you have a dog, the first 2 weeks or the first month is the time that your puppy or your new dog is adjusting to the new norm. Okay, so they're either anxious, or stressed. So it's not the right mindset to train that puppy or that dog. It's just not the right time to train that dog. So what I want you to do is not to think about training, at least for the first few weeks or first month. Instead, I want you to think about helping your puppy or your new dog to get adjusted, to start uh, settling in, getting into the routine, and getting to know you, and you get to know your puppy. And once everything is settled down, once everything has been adjusted, and your puppy or your dog is in that normal, I would say, state of mind that it was before, where it was stressed and anxious. Now it's more, it's normal feeling and normal way of thinking. Then you can start training that puppy or that dog. So it's very important to understand this first and foremost, because if you start training that puppy or that dog right away, what happens is you're adding more stress to that puppy or that dog. So that puppy already is coming to you stressed. It's been with its original parents and siblings, or was with a different family or something, and then the location changed, and now your puppy or your dog is in the new environment. So it's going to be stressed, right? Because imagine you are, let's say, you live in Canada and you travel to another country, which you don't speak the language, you don't know the place, you don't know anything about that country yet. You are going to get stressed, right? So it's going to take some time for you to adjust in and settle in, and then you're going to start enjoying that trip, right? So that's the same concept. You have to understand that, and don't put more, or don't add more stress to the dog's or your puppy's life in the beginning. Training starts later on. And some people have this idea that, okay, I need to at least to start to potty train my puppy. When it comes to puppies, potty training is not actually potty, it's not a training. Potty training is basically a concept. Potty training is understanding that your puppy is growing up, is starting to develop. So its bladder or in its internal systems are starting to develop as well. And they will have, whether you want it or not, they will have accidents, because they can't hold what an adult dog can hold, right? So they will have accidents. So don't bother with training the puppy pretty much about potty training and things like that. More of it should be that you should be um, helping to the puppy to adjust to its um, feeding and going to bathroom routine. It's more of that. So when it comes to potty training your puppy, is the first thing that you have to remember is what goes in must come out, right? So the first thing is, what are you feeding your puppy? If you're feeding your puppy dry food or kibble, you're going to have a harder time to help your puppy to adjust to the new routine and going to bathroom, because kibbles or dry food are just not the ideal food, at least for the puppy, for the first few months of the puppy. At least it's not ideal diet, because it's too dry, it's full of fillers. Beside that, it's full of toxins as well. I'm not going to get into that, but it's just dry food, and as I said, it has fillers. So basically it goes in, and about 60 to 70% of it comes out without doing anything to your body, your dog's nutrients value portion, or doing anything to your body. So the more you feed kibble, your puppy has to go number 2 more often. And on top of that, because it's dry food, your puppy needs to drink a lot of water, because the dry food forces the puppy to get thirsty because it dehydrates them, and it forces the puppy to drink a lot of water. Therefore their bladder is always full, therefore they're going to have more accidents and often. So kibble or dry food basically is your nemesis. Right? If you want to train your puppy, if you want to train your puppy, to get used to potty training, your biggest challenge and your biggest nemesis is kibble or dry food. Instead, I would suggest to feed fresh food, fresh homemade or raw diet food, which will help your puppy actually not only to have less accidents, but it will help you and your puppy to adjust its routine of going to bathroom, right? Puppies who are fed fresh food or raw diet, they have less tendency to go throughout the day. 1, they drink less water. 2, they poop less. So kibble forces your puppy to drink a lot of water and have a lot of number 2s throughout the day. Whereas fresh food and raw diet allows your puppy to drink less water. They don't need to drink less water as much as kibble dogs. So they don't have number 1 accidents often. And the other thing is that because they're eating good food, about 80 to 90% of nutrients are being absorbed by the body, and only 10 or 20% of it is being defecated and being let go. So they will have less accidents as well from number 2 as well. So number 1 and you're going to be taking care of number 1 and number 2 just simply by switching the diet. Now that I don't want you to misunderstand that I'm saying only when they're puppy just feed them fresh food. I would suggest you to feed your dog fresh food throughout his life. Don't go towards kibble or dry food. That's not the ideal diet for dogs. I remember when I got Annie, I adopted Annie, and adoptees and everybody was feeding her kibble, and she came with a bag of kibble as well. And she was drinking a lot of water throughout the day. I was just surprised to see her drinking a lot of water, to the point that I was so worried that I asked the vet if there was anything wrong with her, right? There was any underlying issue with her health, that she was drinking a lot of water, and she was pooping a lot as well. And right away, like the next day, as soon as she came to our home, I started feeding her fresh food. And within a matter of maybe a month, because it took a while for her body to adjust to the new normal, and she started drinking less water. Accidents were less, and she was potty trained right soon. Actually, didn't take us too long to potty train her. But the damage that it was taking, the toll that it was taking on her body, it was just amazing to witness. And now that she's on fresh food, she hardly drinks any water. It's amazingly she doesn't drink. I mean, maybe once or twice a day she would go for water and drink a little bit of water. Maybe after she had good play session exercise, she would drink a lot of some water, but not a lot. So that's the potty training about the puppy. That's the only training basically you are kind of doing with your puppy. Other than that, you're not really training your puppy. And let's say you had your puppy for a month, then you're going to start sort of training your puppy. As I said, you don't want to start training right away. You want to give it a couple of weeks or a month for the mindset from going from stress to calmer version of themselves, to be themselves be comfortable in the environment and with you. Then that's the mindset that you want to start training. And when we talk about training, is basically training the basics of commands, which is the best way to start training a puppy, which are the commands of sit, stay, and calm. These three commands, sit, stay, and calm or recall, are the basics that you start to teach your puppy. And again, when it comes to training, I usually use play and praise to train my puppies instead of using food, which brings me to the question of the day. A reminder again: why do you use treats to train your dog? I just want to know what is the reason? What motivated you to start using treats to motivate your dog? What got you going with treats? Answer that question for a chance to win a digital copy of my book, Two Simple Changes. So that would be the question of the day. So back to basics of puppy training and adult dog training. So that would be the first thing that I would do. I would start training my puppy the three commands of sit, stay, come. Nothing else, nothing more than that. The reason again for that is because we don't want to overwhelm our puppies. We don't want to put a lot of information in their mind, young mind, because they're still learning. They're still trying to learn and adjust to the new environment. They have got a little bit comfortable, but now it's time to teach them just three basic commands, which are sit, stay, come. And when the puppy is about, let's say, 4 months to 5 months, then you can start doing some formal training. So the puppy training version of sit, stay, come, which is just using play and just teaching the puppy just to hear the words, just to get comfortable and used to the commands and what you're saying and what does it mean and why are you talking like that, what does sit mean, and all that. To understand those stuff, it's already too much for a puppy. So just stick with those three commands and just teach those three commands. And once your puppy is 4 months or 5 months and older, then you can start teaching them formal training, which you go through all the basic commands of sit, stay, come, heel, down, stand. You teach these are the commands, the 6 commands that internationally everywhere are taught to our dogs. Wherever you go in the world, these are the 6 commands. Now, in US or in Canada or in North America in general, there is, we say leave it or off or things like that, and they call them commands. Those are not commands. Those are just additional words that we are teaching our dogs. Commands are just sit, stay, come, heel, stand, and down. Those are the basic formal commands that everywhere in the world are taught to our dogs. So those are the commands that you need to start teaching your dog. So that's the puppy training, right? In general, when it comes to puppy training, you are basically focused on mainly mainly on just getting your puppy used to the new environment. And one of the other things that you have to remember is your puppy, up to about 8 months or so, they're still developing. What that means is their ears, their nose, their eyes are still developing. They are not fully developed yet. So it takes time for them to develop. So be considerate and don't force them a lot. Don't teach them a lot, because they're still learning. They're still figuring things out. Most puppy owners, one of the common questions is that when I take my puppy for a walk, it just eats everything, puts everything in his mouth. Leaves, uh, rocks, wood, whatever crap they find on the ground, they put it in their mouth because they're exploring, because their mouth is their hands, and they are trying to figure out what this world is and how things work. What do they taste like? What do they feel like? So with their mouth and nose and ears, they're exploring the world. They're still trying to figure out what is going on in the world. So those would be the few things that you want to be considerate when it comes to your puppy. Now, if you have adopted an adult dog, or you just got a dog that is older than, let's say, 6, 7, 8 months old, basically they're mini adults. With them as well, you don't want to start training them right away. Forget all the other um, recommendation that you start training your dog right away. Again, I don't recommend that. I don't agree with that, because again, when you are adopting a new dog or you're bringing a new dog to your home, that dog is stressed, and you can't teach a stressed a stressed dog, right? It's just they're not going to learn. They're not going to understand what you're saying. You're going to be starting to add more stress to their stress levels. So what I suggest you to do is just let them be, let them figure things out, let them get relaxed and comfortable. Um, and then maybe after a month again, you can start training them. If they're adults, you can start with formal training, whether they have been trained or not, whether the rescue organization or the shelter or whoever you're getting your dog from says to you that, oh, it's been trained, it's all good to go. You need to do your part, and you need to start training with that dog, because that dog has been trained with somebody else, using different energy, using different vocals, using different method maybe, uh, and you need to restart the training. Retraining your dog will help you to uh, not only teach the new norm to your dog, but your dog is going to start to bond with you even more and help you to develop a deeper connection. And that will happen only if you give time and be patient with your new dog and then start training. So if you have a adult dog, you always start with sit, stay, come, heel, stand, and down. These are the commands that you're going to teach your adult dog. And then you're going to start adding some additional words in there too, like no, or stop it, or whatever you want to use, leave it, whatever words that you're comfortable to use. But I use one word, which is no, and replaces everything. Off replaces leave it, replaces don't do it, replaces stop it. Just the word no. The way I teach it is, if my dog is playing and I don't want my dog to grab the toy, or I want it to drop it or things like that. We're in the play mode, and I'm teaching the word no. My dog is going to learn that no means drop it, no means stop it, no means get off, all that. And then I use no at no playtime uh, situations as well. So because I've taught my dog no during the play, and my dog has learned what no means. Now during non-play times, I can use that word to correct my dog, right? Without feeling sorry, without feeling angry or anything like that. Just say no, and my dog stops or gets off the couch or things like that. So those are the things that you need to focus when it comes to your basic training your dog. Now, as always, I suggest to dog owners is that training is just one part of the formula. There are 4 other things that you need to add to this formula. What I mean by that is you need to provide your dog, puppies or dogs, daily 5 essential needs. The daily 5 essential needs are exercise, training, socialization, care, and then affection. And the puppy gets the same thing, right? Whether you have a puppy or adult dog, you need to provide your dog's daily 5 essential needs, which are exercise, training, socialization, care, and then affection. So as you can see, training is there too, but it's not the only thing that you need to focus on. So when you are bringing your dog home, when you're getting your puppy and you're bringing it home, you need to focus on providing all these 5 things for your puppy or your dog, right? Which are proper amount of exercise. Training, you're going to do it in about a month after they're home. Socialization is another thing that you want to start providing for your puppy or your dog. Socializing your puppy with everything and everybody and every member of the home and the society, the community, and all that. Care, and then affection. So these are the 5 things that you need to focus on to provide for your puppy or your dog. Training is there, but it's not the only thing that you're providing for your dog. Hopefully, all these are making sense to you. Let me know if they are making sense to you. If you have any questions regarding these, feel free to ask them. I'm just going to quickly check the comments area, see what's going on. Crackshot is here. I don't know if that's appropriate or right member. Eva Tinkling is here. Doctors like Wagmam. Yes, you have a beagle. That's great. Yeah, if you are live with me, feel free to ask me question, and also answer this question: why do you use treats to train your dog? I'm very curious to know, why are you using treats to train your dog? What is the main reason? Why are you using treats to train your dog? Just leave that answer in the comments area. So we have one question so far from Danielle Para. Danielle Para. Hello, Saro. I have a question. Can you use treats for luring a dog for learning a new trick, or do you just need to use, let's say, a toy for luring, but the reward be play and praise? Very good question. Luring is something that it's something that most professionals and trainers, they use this word luring. Luring is getting the dog to do that task, whatever you're asking it to do. For example, if I'm asking my dog to sit, right, um, I don't have to really lure my dog to sit. My dog would basically sit automatically, right? But if I want to do something really tricky, let's say, which is mainly they use in movie industry, or, they do it in very, they do some tricks. There are some trainers who use tricks that they do amazing things with their dogs. That's no question that they do amazing things with their dogs. Those situations, you need to use lure, right? Lure, what it means is you're taking something. I don't know, I'm just going to use this pen, and you're luring, right? Now when I'm doing this, what is happening? You're following the pen, right? Whether you want it or not, you're luring. I'm luring you to follow the pen. In luring a dog for training, yes, you need to lure them to do a trick or something. But if you're doing a training basic obedience of sit, stay, calm, heel, down, stand, those commands, you don't need to lure them. You just teach them. And the examples of how do you teach a dog to sit and stand and stay and come and heel and all that, you can watch videos on my channel and learn how I do it without treats, right? The first thing when I talk about training, the way I put it together is I play, I train, and then practice. So I play with my dog to bring that energy level down and get it motivated with me, get it interacting with me, get it connected with me. I play. And then I teach, which is I train, right? I teach my dog to stay. All you have to do is just have a good, clear communication with your dog to stay, to stand, and to lie down, and all that. You just have to ask your dog to do it. They are intelligent enough to know what you're saying and to do it, to learn it. You don't really need to lure them to stay. You don't need to really lure them to stand, because you're taking the time to connect with your dog, and you're communicating to your dog clearly, and your dog exactly knows what you're saying and who you are and what you mean. And when you're telling your dog, for example, to stay, and if your dog doesn't stay and moves and breaks the command, you just correct it with a no, bring it back and say you made a mistake, stay there, and then you practice more. So luring is just, I would say, is only necessary when you're doing tricks, or your dog is working in the movie industry and it has to do a complex routine. Go from, I don't know, I just recently did a video, and there's an example of a dog in the movie that is getting out from the roof on the car, and then from the car on the ground, and then goes in the yard, right? So that process, for the dog to learn, yes, you need to lure it to do that thing, right? And luring is just, again, as I said, is just getting the dog to do what you want it to do, right? When it comes to training at sit, you don't really need to do this with your dog. You don't need to lure them. The problem is when you're using treats, your dog starts focusing on the treat. Now, if I'm doing this, you're focused on the pen, unfortunately, right? That's what happens. And the problem with treat training and getting the dogs to focus on the treat is that they only do it when the treat is present, when the food is present. So that's why I don't use it. So I play, I teach, and then I practice. So what I mean by that is I play with my dog, get it motivated, get it going, get it excited, get it connected with me, get it interacting with me, and I say sit, stand, stay, and my dog, oh wow, he's interacting with me. Oh yeah, I'm gonna sit and stay and all that. And then when it's done, when my dog learns what I mean by sit means put your bum down, then we practice. We practice with play. I have a toy, talk toy, sit, my dog sits, I reward it with a play. My dog sits, I said sit, my dog sits, I throw the ball, right? My dog sits, and I reward it with, let's go for a chase. Chase me, run after me, I'll chase you, things like that. Play. So play, reward, train, reward, or practice. So that's the procedure that I take. So yes, if you're teaching a complex situation, use luring, but for basic obedience, basic training, you don't need to use lures. You can use toys or games or play or praise as reward. Great question. Thank you very much for the question. That was a great one. I love questions like that, and I love to talk about that topic. Suzanne is saying only because our puppy training encouraged it. Worst mistake I ever made. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. One of the problems with our dog training industry is that dog trainers or professionals, they encourage people to use treats as a positive reward-based training. And the problem with that is I really have a hard time watching myself. This is me only. I have a hard time watching dog trainers training dogs, especially the dog trainers who use treats, because it feels like that trainer also cannot do anything without treats. You take away the treat, the trainer is going to say, I don't know what to do now. They're powerless without treats. They cannot perform without treats. They are so used to treats, and they encourage people to use treats too. And I agree with that. Yes, it's the worst mistake that you can make when it comes to training your dog. They don't need treats. We don't need treats to train dogs. Thank you very much, Susan. That will go in the file of the answers why we use treats. And before I answer AJ, I think it's AJ, and let me just remind you one more time. Please answer the question of the day, which is why do you use train to train your dog? And there's a chance for you to win a free digital copy of my book, Two Simple Changes. So feel free to answer this question is, why do you use treats to train your dog? Let's go to AJ questions. Hello, sir. What type of home-cooked raw food do you recommend for 4-month-old beagle? What should be the food weight, amount of food to be given, any frequency? Good question. In reality, you can feed exactly what you're feeding an adult dog to puppy, but puppies may need additional supplements. Supplements, what I mean by that is, carbs, maybe a little bit more of maybe an additional egg, things like that. You just have to add more and supplement puppy diet a little bit more than adults. I have a video that I'm gonna share in the chat area. It's the video called What I Feed My Dog. Let me get that. you can AJ, you can go and watch this, but I'm going to explain. I'm going to call it what to feed. Boom is in the chat area. But in general, overall understanding of a dog's diet, a fresh raw or home cooked diet mainly has to contain 75% meat or protein, 25% vegetables. When it comes to puppies, it's 75% meat, 10% 10% carb, 15% veggies. You can adjust that the way you want it, but you make sure that your dog is getting a lot of protein, your puppy. Those should be the main things. Now, to add additional, this is what I feed at the moment to my puppy, and I'm still feeding her the same food, is meat, variety of meat, red and white, some vegetables, green leafy vegetables. I feed her a little bit of carb. Instead of rice or things like that, I feed lentils. Lentils are much more healthier version of carbs, especially for dogs. I give her one egg, and basically I add a little bit of ginger and a little bit of turmeric. That's about it. That's the diet of my dog, and that's the diet you could feed your dog. And I would say the frequency of a puppy being fed is basically 2 or 3 meals a day, not more than 3 at least. The amount of food that you give to your dog is basically you find the ideal weight of your dog. Let's say if your beagle is 25 pounds, I'm just giving an example, 25 pounds, your puppy should be eating 250 grams of food per day. That's per day. You can divide it in 2 or 3, but 250, for example, would be the ideal amount of food that your puppy should be eating. If your puppy is 30 pounds, 300 grams. If your puppy is 40 pounds, 400 grams. So I hope that makes sense. So watch the video as well. So there's more information there. Thank you for the question. Susan she's saying she even said beagles were her specialty and using trees would be advantage because beagles are food motivated. Big mistake. Quickly, let me answer before, and I want to explain this before I go and answer the other questions. We only have 15 more minutes, so if you have any questions, make sure to ask it now, so I'll get the answers, the questions answered. Especially those trainers who they say specialty of theirs is certain breeds, especially beagles. And if you ask every dog trainer, they'll say dogs are food motivated. No matter if it's a beagle or a lab or whatever it is, they will say it's food motivated. If a dog is food motivated and you use food, you're actually adding more stress, more the beagle or the dog becomes more focused on food. If you have a dog who's food motivated, you don't want it to be more food motivated. You want it to be less food motivated, right? Because imagine if you add more food through training, through walking, through this, that, your beagle or your dog is going to be thinking about food all day long, which drives the dog crazy. And I've seen videos and I've seen personally what happens when you over excite a beagle or a dog with food. They just don't do anything but to think about food. They are hanging out by the kitchen all day long. They're hanging out by the fridge. It's like life becomes food. Food is their only purpose in life, which drives them crazy. And I'm very against of using treats, especially dogs or people when they say I have a food motivated dog. You shouldn't be. If you have a food motivated dog, don't use food. It's like if you have a dog who's afraid of spiders, don't put them in front of spiders, right? Why would you put in front of spiders, right? So great answer. Cynthia, I think Cynthia Nozika. Hi, sir. I have a 7-month-old beagle and he wants to eat everything we have. Anytime the kids are eating something, we have to leash him or put him in his crate because he will want to eat everything. That's exactly what I was just saying. If you have a beagle who tend to be foodie, and if you're using treats or food to train your beagle, just remove that concept from your life. Just the only food and the only time, excuse me, the only food and the only time that you interact with food and your beagle is when you're feeding. Maybe twice or 3 times a day that you're feeding. That's the only time your beagle interacts with food. Other than that, don't use treats, don't use food. Use treats after or before you give the meal. So other than that, you're not getting involved with treats or food. And the reason for that, your beagle is so into food because throughout the day, I'm sure there's always food involved. Whether you are eating food or whether they're eating food, whether you're training your food, whether you're using treats to get them attention. My wife just reminded me the other day, we were at the dog park, and we had our beagles playing in the snow and all that. And then there was another family, they had a beagle as well. And this beagle came to interact with us and with our dogs. And they were over there kind of, physical distancing from us. And they were calling their beagle to come, and the beagle wouldn't go to them. So they were saying the beagle's name and food, cookies, food. And, they were using that verbally. I'm sure they had food with them too. Even though beagles are foodie, the beagle wouldn't go to the owner. Even though it was being tempted by food, it wouldn't go to the owner. The beagle wanted to interact with us. He wanted to interact with dogs. So even in our mindset, dog owners have this concept that food is the only thing that will connect me with my dog. So remove this concept of using food for training and teaching your beagle, because if you are dependent on treats or food, your beagle is going to be dependent on food and treats all day long, 24/7, 365 days a year. So you have to change your mindset in order for your beagle to change. AJ is answering the question. We use treats because he just doesn't respond to anything else. Exactly. Your dog, your beagle has trained you to do what it wants it to do. It wants you to do. So your beagle has trained you what to do and how to interact with it. And that's the only way that you can actually connect with your beagle and get results is when you use food. So you're powerless without food. So you have to be more, become powerful without using food. And the way you do it is just you remove the treat using mentality, food mentality, and treat training out of your vocabulary, out of your mental system, and start using play and praise. You will get great results if you use play and praise with your, especially with your beagle. Your beagle, your puppy beagle especially, is full of life. It wants to play, it wants to have fun. They are born with this mentality that I want to play, I want to have fun. And what you do is you use treats and you stop that uh, energy. You put a brake on their energy level. They say, let's go. And then you put pizza in front of them. They say, oh, okay, I'm just going to sit there and enjoy the pizza. They were excited to go. You paused and you stopped their energy performance with the food. You blocked them. You confused them. Just remove the food. Don't use food. For the next week or so, just stop using food or treats. See the difference. Interact with your beagle. Play with your beagle. Don't think that, okay, my beagle is not listening to me. If your beagle is not listening to you, is because you haven't invested enough time. You haven't spent enough time with your puppy to connect with your puppy. And honestly, I would say probably you're just spending maybe an hour or so with your puppy and you're expecting results. For puppies to bond with humans and for us to get great results, you need to spend a lot more time. If you want to connect with your puppy, you got to spend time. Great. Danielle, I don't personally use treats to train dogs, but I know a lot of people who use treats to train dogs because it is recommended or is just the most common way to train dogs, but then I still see bad dogs. Exactly. For the past, I would say 60, 70, 80 years, main mode of method of training has been treat training, and we still have bad dogs. Obviously, it's not working because the trainers themselves are using the wrong method and they are powerless. They can't do anything without treats, and they are recommending dog owners to use treats as well. So great response. Best of the beast. We use treats because it's easier to use food for luring, but in general, I think reward should be based on the dog's desire. I agree with that. Most dogs in general, in my opinion, desire play and praise. They don't desire food. Food has its own space, has its own time, has its own place. Treats or food, they have their own place. There is a time to eat, there is a time to play, there is a time to sleep, there is a time to lounge, there is a time to do other stuff. Animals, if you think of it, animals in nature, just watch a documentary or one of those TV shows on about discovery about animals and things like that, especially predators. They don't hunt every day. They don't think about food all day. I've seen many images, many proofs that a crocodile who's been fed, you can put a rabbit in front of it and it would just hang out with it. Because as long as they're satisfied with food, they don't need to kill, right? They don't need to hunt. So food is not as important as we think it is for animals. Food, when animals or predators are hungry, they will gather and go for a hunt, kill it, eat it, done. For 2-3 days, they don't eat, they don't think about food, and they only hunt when they are hungry, right? Food is not priority. Other thing that you have to remember is new studies have shown and the research has shown that dogs are not excited about the food that we're giving or treat that we're giving to our dogs. Is to the hand that gives the treat or the food. So that interaction that we get from the dog or the dog gets from the human is the more that's the motivation, that's the desire, that's what the dog desires. Ager is thanking. All right, so we have a few more questions, and I'm going to go through. See, I think for beagles especially, it is important to play first before train, because they are so high energy. When they are in play mode, they can't focus. You need to get the beagle out first. Exactly. That's why you play first and then train. Exercise and then training, right? Dragon Monala is saying, "Hi Saro, I'm glad to see you. My question is about problem I have with my beagle, 4 months old. He doesn't like the car at all. When I go to the vet, he cries and screams every time. What can I do?" Car rides are something that you need to get your dog used to it. And I've done a video about it. It has to do either with, it's either internal or mental. The mental part, you can help it. You can literally do the task that I'm suggesting in this video. The task that the mental part, you can watch this video that is in the chat line. I called it car ride. But if it's internal, it's something that you can't really help it. You have to add something, medication or something has to be given to the dog, unfortunately. Or the dog has to learn to get used to the idea of being in a car ride. Right. The best solution is to put your dog in a crate and close the crate, and maybe have one of those crates that is covered with a blanket or towel or something, so it doesn't see outside, doesn't see movement as the car is driving. But watch the video; it's in the chat area. Go ahead and watch that. Susan is saying big mistake. My beagle is 3.5 months old. How to train for potty and susu? I'm guessing susu is number 2. I'm having Kumar. I'm just going to call you Kumar. Kumar, for potty training at 3.5 months old puppy. I'm gonna leave video in the chat area. This is for puppies. Basically, I explained in the beginning of this live chat as well. So you can go back to the beginning of this live session and video and watch the beginning. I explained, but also there is a video for you to refer to in the chat area that you can watch. Right. Danielle is asking, when is your next live? It will be in a month. I do once a month live session. I used to be doing once a week, but it's just I don't have the time at the moment. I do once a month. It will be announced soon. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon as well to get notified as soon as I go live, or get notified. You're going to get notified when my next live session would be. Really, Wonka is saying, my 9.5 months old Doberman is still nipping. How do I stop it? If a 9.5 months old dog is still nipping, it's a sign that your dog it's not getting enough mental and physical stimulation. So what I would suggest you to do is, I'm going to share a video in the chat area. It's called nipping. Go ahead and watch that. It will help you. with the why is it happening and what you need to do. Basically, you're not providing enough mental and physical stimulation. Let me answer this question. Hi, Sora. I'm about to get a 2-month-old beagle next week. What do you think I should teach him first, and what do you recommend me to do? Please watch the beginning of the video, this video. Go back to the beginning of this video. I explain exactly what you need to do. That was the main topic of this video. Please go back and watch this video. And the last question is from Lamben Lark. This is a little bit deep question. I'm going to spend a few minutes answering it. It's not for just beagles, every breed, but I just wanted to see who has a beagle. I took in a 140-pound American bulldog that I'm sure was abused. He took out 2 guys when I took the cord off my vacuum. He's afraid so much. How can I make him get past these? When you have a dog, 2 things that you have to remember. First thing is that you have a new dog, and your dog is new to you, your home, your life, your lifestyle, your everything is new. That itself is stressor, right? It stresses your dog. Now you have a dog who you kind of have a feeling that he's been abused before, and he's been into shelter and here and there, and then you went and adopted. So that itself added more layers of stress. So your dog is super stressed. Your task is to distress it. The way you distress it is you start focusing on providing your dog's daily 5 essential needs, okay? Which are exercise, proper amount of exercise, start the training in about a month or so, formal training. Start socializing your dog slowly, gently, from far, not too close. And then provide proper amount of care, fresh food. Fresh food will definitely help. Instead of feeding kibble, remove the kibble and start feeding fresh food. Fresh food will clear internal issues that it has due to stress. And affection should be the last thing that you're providing this dog, okay? Providing affection at the end, after you have provided them proper amount of exercise, training, socialization, care, and then affection. And also I suggest you as well, go back to the beginning of this video and watch what I explained, okay? It's very important for you to know those things. I went through a lot of content in the beginning of the video, so it's very important for you to go back and watch those at the beginning, right? So that would be my 2 cents at the moment. Focus on providing your dog's daily 5 essential needs. Distress your dog and understand that your dog is stressed. The reason he's doing all those behaviors is because he's stressed. And because it's stressed, is doing those behaviors to give you messages, signals that I am stressed, I need help. So your task is to help it, and the way you help it is you provide its daily 5 essential needs. Hope that helps. If you need more detailed help, more one-on-one, try to contact me and we'll do a virtual training as well. I do virtual training and consultation as well all over the world. So it's time for me to select the winner for the answer question of the day, and I'm going to reward Susan Fenwick. Susan Fenwick, you are the winner of the day. Would you be able to email me at info? I left the email in the chat area. If you could email me with your name, and so I can connect email with your name, so I can send you the digital book of Two Simple Changes. Thank you for answering the question, and thank you for being here, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know there are some questions that I didn't get to answer, but that's all the time that we have. If you need more help and if you need more support, feel free to visit my website, sarodogtraining.com. You can email me, you can set up a virtual training, you can join one of my online courses and learn everything that I know through the online courses, which is helping you through videos. You go through videos and content on your pace and learn everything that you need to learn and train your dog. And if you have any other questions, go to any of my videos or even in this video's comments area and ask the questions there. And I read all the comments, all the questions, and I reply to them. And I will see you next month. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have fun. And until next time, have fun with your dog.